Everybody, welcome to Monster Territory, brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. We have a very special guest here today, Blaze Jordan, my friend. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Well, we're just waking up over here, honestly, and but I'm excited to have you on, man. I've been following you now for a long time, since you were a kid. I got to ask you, man. Going back to 12-year-old Blaze Jordan. I'm going to ask this first off. How the heck were you hitting 500-foot dingers as a 12-year-old kid?
Uh, well, the first one happened when I was 13, but yeah, I hit one when I
Oh,
was
was it
12 and
13? Okay.
yeah,
Let's
I
just
was
say
13.
12.
Yeah.
That makes it sound better.
Yeah, yeah. But it was one of those things like I like shocked myself like when I did it. So like I remember like I went the year before and I hit one like right at like 400 feet or something, but then like I grew and stuff a little bit, got stronger.
Yeah.
And then and yeah, I hit it and then they announced it over the PA thing, and it was like I heard the distance. I was like, "There's just no way!" Like, but then I went back and watched the video, and it was just like it was crazy because I think I hit like two or three that went that far,
Yeah.
and but I mean, it was like it had a lot to do with like I mean, we were using the pitching machine balls too that like
Yeah.
travel really far, so it was like they probably travel farther than the major league balls, and
Yeah.
then obviously with the drop fly bats and stuff that helped me a lot too, but
Yeah.
still, it was like weird, like, showing up to school like on the next Monday after I did that on Saturday. It was
Yeah.
like everything kind of changed, I felt like a lot of people were like following me on social media and stuff. It kind of just blew up and it was just kind of just random. And I remember sitting with my parents at dinner that night after it happened, and I was like, I can't believe I just did that. Like that felt like really weird. Like I like shocked myself, but yeah, it was super cool in the moment. I honestly don't know how I really did it. I've always just kind of had power, like ever since I was a little kid, and I've always had like really fast hands and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it just once I got stronger and stuff, I just started to hit the ball really far.
Yeah. What bat were you using in that specific home run derby? I come from the days of the stealth bat. That was I think it was like a white, red. I think there was a blue one too. What were you using that? What were you using?
I was using when I hit that one, it was the orange Easton XL1, so that one was
Ah,
like one of the goats too. So yeah, it was definitely really hot bad. So I used it like that summer and stuff too. So I was like it was one of my favorite bets I've ever used. So
yeah, I was playing like '06, '08 during that time. If you had the stealth bat, you were the cool kid on the block
yeah.
at that point. I got to ask, you were getting a lot of attention after that and everything, that video I believe is at I think 1.5 million views up to this point. When after that happened at school, were you just having kids coming up to you asking for pictures, or how did that go?
Yeah, they were like, they would ask for some autographs and pictures, and then right around that time too, I committed to Mississippi State. Like I
Yeah, yeah,
and then I don't think they could do that now with the new rules, but like
yeah,
when I did that, so like some stuff like that like helped a little bit too, because I mean
yeah.
I was really young to do that, and but yeah, it was definitely weird showing up to school, but I still tried to be like a really good student and stuff. So
Yeah, I can't even imagine, honestly. I mean, my doofus self was just trying to get good grades and play GameCube on the weekends, and here you are hitting dingers. But during that time growing up, was there a certain player that you tried to replicate your game after?
I've always said, it's always been Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera. I think it's just because like they both play the corner positions like I did, and
Yeah,
I obviously they were kind of like in their primes when I was growing up,
yeah,
so it was really special to watch, and so being able to just watch them and everything, that those were like the two that I really just followed. I didn't really like follow like a certain team or anything. It was just kind of I always kind of just catch up with those players, and a really special moment for me was when. So my first ever major league game was when Albert Pujols hit the three home runs in the World Series, and that was my first ever major league game, and that was a really special moment for me to be able to be in the stands and watch that, and
for sure.
that's like a moment like I never forgot. So and yeah, and I think that's when I fell in love with just watching how he played and everything. So
Yeah, man, friggin' Pujols, man. The guy was an absolute. He was a freak in nature, man. The machine. I still remember the ESPN commercials, the machine one. That was one of my favorite ones. The
Yeah.
looking back, over the last 10 years or so since you really got out there after that performance, has life just been kind of a blur for you? Have you ever just sat down and reflected on just how crazy it's been over this over all this time?
It's definitely going by really fast, like
Yeah.
especially like my high school years because obviously like I was supposed to be graduated in 21 and then but I kind of like skipped I did my junior year during my sophomore year online, so I was able to graduate early and I graduated in 2020. So but then that's when COVID happened. So
Mm.
I really only played 2 years of high school baseball. So
Yeah.
but so that I feel like that made it go by a little bit quicker. But yeah, it was just kind of a blur. Like I was always just super busy during the summer, playing travel baseball. Like I felt like,
Yeah.
I just loved going out there and doing it. Like I feel like I was always in Atlanta or Dallas or wherever it may be, or Florida. I feel like I was just always playing. It was just something I loved to do, and
Yeah.
I got to give all the love to my parents to be able to let me do that and stuff. And because I know that's not easy or cheap. So yeah, and so I kind of I like look back on all that stuff, and when I'm playing now, I try to do it for them, because I know they sacrificed a lot, and all that. But yeah, it was a real blur, it was, but those are the fun times, like when you're a kid and stuff, playing with all your buddies, in the hotels and everything,
Yeah.
and going out to dinners and all that. So that's why I try to tell kids nowadays, like when they're in that, when they're like that age and stuff, I'm like, just enjoy that moment, don't worry about like your performance or anything. Like it's not going to really matter in the long run because like,
Yeah.
I know some guys that like, they weren't like very big or very very good, like when they were younger, but then they're turned out to be almost Major League Baseball players already. So you never know how it's going to shape up. So that's why I always try to tell the younger guys when they come up to me. So
Oh yeah, it's crazy now. Looking at how advanced all these young kids are now. Like it's crazy. Like I participated in a. It was like a. How do you even describe it? It was we called it Bros versus Pros, where we were a bunch of YouTubers. We were playing up against guys in the Appalachian League, the Scouting League or whatever. I'm not sure if they still have that or not. But I went to the batting cages nearby, and I'm watching this one kid. He's just taking like all these hacks. He's working with a coach. I'm like, man, this kid looks good. Like he's maybe coming out of high school or something. He was like 12 years old, 11, 12 years old. It's crazy how advanced these kids are. I got to
uh,
ask too, you said, Mississippi State, you linked up with them shortly after that home run derby. Were there a whole bunch of schools at that point, like just calling you up?
yeah, so we had like a lot of connections because I played for the Dillon Dodgers like
Mm,
as a travel ball team, and like we had like a lot of commits and stuff like in the older age groups during that time, so they were kind of always linked to like Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Louisville, like places like that, and so I feel like the ones that were like really interested were at that time were Mississippi State, Alabama, Vanderbilt. And I kind of visited those schools, and but it was one of those things like I saw the stadium that Mississippi State was building, and I love the staff and stuff there, and I love
okay.
the fan base that they have. So it was one
Yeah.
of those things like I told my dad like I was like, if they offer me, like I'm gonna commit like probably like basically that day. So I think I
Yeah.
waited a couple of days, but so technically they were like my only offer, but like I just kind of knew I wanted to go there and stuff, and I think it was just the right fit for me. And yeah, but they actually won the College World Series the year that I was supposed to go there my freshman year. So, but I had a lot of buddies on that team, so I was very happy for them. So.
Yeah, man. And fast forward to the draft. What was that whole process like? Obviously, going to the Red Sox, but do you remember there being other teams involved? Was that a pretty busy process?
It definitely was. I had quite a few teams involved, and it was one of those things like it was really stressful because that was during COVID, obviously, and like so I
Yeah,
wasn't playing or anything. So you were just sitting there for months.
yeah,
You're like, I can't go out there and like prove myself or go like hit in front of people. Like you're just kind of just waiting, and then you're just having like Zoom calls. And yeah, and it was a very like it was very stressful on me because I'm like I can't really do anything about it like because I haven't been able to play or anything. But yeah, it was a dream come true. Like when the Red Sox called me, and they were like one of the teams that I really wanted to go to. And it was pretty cool to be able to land there. And it was actually funny. It was one of my buddies' birthdays, and he's a huge Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
And, and it was pretty cool because I kind of knew early on like that I was going to go to them.
Mhm.
And then, but like obviously, like I had a few teams like call before that and stuff. But like I was gonna go to them, and I had it in my mind and stuff. And then it was just pretty cool because he was a huge Red Sox fan and stuff. So it meant a lot to me and my family and stuff. And it was just cool to see all the hard work pay off and be able to go in this like great historic organization, And I feel like it was just great for me. So.
Yeah, I got to ask this too, and you do not have to answer this if you don't want to. But this past off season, your name was coming up in trade rumors. Funny enough, you mentioned Albert Pujols earlier, and the Cardinals were popping up a little bit. Take me through that process if you want to. Was that something that you were paying attention to, or were you just grinding, just doing what you usually do in the off season? What was going on then?
Yeah, I kind of like I would like scroll on Twitter and I randomly just saw it one day and I was like, oh, like that's kind of crazy. But then
Right?
it was more of like a lot of my buddies would like send it to me like, do you know anything? And I was like, shoot, I won't know anything unless something actually happens, like
Yeah.
and so it was one of those things like I just kept grinding, and I'm very happy I'm still with the Boston Red Sox and everything. So I felt like the I just needed to keep working hard, and because I had a lot of things that I needed to work on this past off season. So, and I feel like I did a really good job of that. So I was just really just focusing on myself and everything. But yeah, it was definitely crazy because I would just have like a lot of buddies and stuff send it to me, and because some of them were Cardinals fans, so they were like, "Is this really happening?" I was like, "I don't know, like
Yeah.
I have no
I mean,
idea." But yeah.
I would look at that as, like a compliment. When you're in conversations like that, with another historic franchise, I couldn't even imagine what that would be like. The business side of baseball, man. You got your first
Mhm.
taste of it, or kind of,
Oh
I
yeah,
guess. But
yeah.
but this year, obviously, still with the Red Sox organization, you put up some great numbers this year. But what I'm really liking about your game this year, and I think it's an underrated part of your game, because I think when people see the name Blaze Jordan, they think, oh, dingers, power. But with you so far this year, your strikeout to walk ratio is looking really good. Striking out 11% of the time, but you're walking over 10% of the time. That's an insane ratio. You're hitting 325, 900 OPS so far throughout Double A, Triple A. But you're also ranking well with exit velo, whiff percentage. You're just having a very good year. What adjustments have you made, throughout the minor leagues? And that's another thing as well. I've noticed your numbers just steadily get better. What adjustments have you made throughout your minor league career, as well as this year so far?
Yeah, so the biggest thing for me has been my approach. Like I've been a very good like bat the ball guy like always, and I've never really like struck out like a ton. So I really like sat down with the staff and stuff this year, and we were just talking, and especially being a quarter infielder, like I need the hit extra base hit homers, and hit the ball in the air, and really listen to Alex Bregman. He gave us like a little like presentation this spring training on like his approach and how he goes about it, and he was talking about how he went through the same things that like kind of like I was going through like early on in his career in the minor leagues. Like he didn't really strike out a lot, but he also like wasn't like walking a ton either. And then so like really listen to him, and learning his like approach of just really getting a pitch that you can drive early in the counts and just trusting yourself. Like even if you get the two strikes, like you're going to be able to protect and put the ball in play. And so that's really what I've kind of leaned into this year is just early on in the counts, just whatever the pitcher's throwing, look for certain spots, whatever that pitch may be, and really just getting my swing off early in the counts. And because I feel like in the past, like I was almost swinging at pitches like on the corners and stuff, and I was like getting weak contact, getting myself out, and so like my strikeout rate was always low, but my quality of contact wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And so really sitting down and stuff with the staff, and just really just honing in on, like getting deeper in the counts, drawing your walks, and just be able to hit the baseball harder and getting the right pitch to hit. That was kind of like what I really honed in on this season. So.
And another thing I've noticed too, I've noticed it as well, just with the Red Sox organization, a lot of swings. Like you rank very high when it comes to swing percentage. What is the thought process with that? I'm intrigued by that.
Yeah, so the funny thing is, I'm actually working on trying to get that down because like
Well,
I'm
yeah, the
trying
Red
to
Sox, they lead Major League
yeah,
Baseball right now in swings, like by far. Like
yeah.
it's an astronomical amount compared to the number two team.
Yeah, like like myself, like I actually called Johnny Reyna, the guy that I was working with in Double A, and my swing percentage is up from Double A to Triple A, and I didn't really realize it. So like that's something like I'm really like focusing on because usually like when I start the swing a lot is like when I get myself in trouble and start making weak contact because that's usually when I'm swinging early on in counts, and so having that talk with him was good, and just just trying to make that adjustment of just getting deeper in the counts, drawing more walks, because that's when you're gonna get the right pitches to hit. You're not gonna be getting yourself out and whatever it may be, and knowing that like striking out is okay, like it's gonna happen in the game of baseball, but but I trust myself enough to get the two strikes, like if it happens, like to be able to put the ball in play and do whatever the team needs me to do, especially in certain situations. And the game also like kind of tells you what to do, like if there's a runner in scoring position and like you need to put the ball in play or something, like you can be more aggressive early in the counts. But like say there's nobody on, and and I really need to hit a ball in the gap or hit a ball, or try to hit a home run, or something like that. Just really just drive the ball somewhere. That's really where I can focus in on really getting my pitch to hit, and even if I get deep in the count or maybe drawing a walk and then extending the inning for the next guy behind me. And I feel like that's what's been really good with the whole Red Sox organization. Like all of our lineups are super deep, so like
Yeah.
you have a ton of protection throughout the whole organization. So and I feel like that's been really good. So I just drawing more walks, getting on base more has been one of the things I've been focusing on. So.
Yeah, that's one thing when it comes to the Red Sox organization. If my doofus self ever became a player and I got drafted by the Red Sox, well, obviously I'd be excited about it because I've been a fan. But they've been so good at developing position players over the years. I mean, you can just the list goes on and on. But I got to ask you. You brought up Alex Bregman. Obviously, he's been a big voice for you. Has there been anyone else in the organization that you really, you try to pick their brain a lot? Any voices out there that have been a big help for you?
I would have to say, playing with Roman and Marcelo and
Mm.
Campbell, like those were like I haven't been in like big league camp or anything, so I haven't really been like around like a ton of the big league guys and stuff yet. But just playing with them for the past 2 or 3 years, just learning from them, learning each other's swing, and then learning like kind of their approach. Those are some pretty good guys to learn from. So it's so being able to do that was pretty cool. Just kind of just picking their brain and I could always go to like Marcelo or someone, like I could be like, hey, like I'm not feeling right with my swing. Like, can you just like see something and to help me out, or like or I can even come up to either one of them, like either after my bats and be like, hey, like what are you thinking like off this guy? Like I took this swing off this guy. Like what do you think I should have done? Just stuff like that. Just kind of picking their brain, and so that learning from them was like pretty cool and stuff too, and seeing what they're doing now is pretty awesome too. So.
Yeah, I got to ask you that. What was the reaction? When you saw those calls, both Marcelo and Robin, and kind of how what are you thinking about all that?
Yeah, I was super pumped. Like, it was one of those things. Like, obviously, you knew it was gonna come at some point, but like, you just like when it happens, like that's just like a super cool moment. I remember, watching their debuts and stuff. It was pretty cool. And me and Mikey were actually watching Marcelo's debut, and it was weird. Like, I feel like I was probably more nervous than Marcelo was, like watching him play. And I was just like wanting them to do so good and stuff. And I told Mikey, I was like, dude, like my heart's like beating right now when he's up to the plate. I was like, I'm just sitting on the couch and my heart's beating for him. And then, but yeah, and I was actually there for Romans, because we were actually about to get on the bus to go to Lehigh Valley, and they pushed the bus back. They're like, hang on, we gotta wait for something might go on, and then
Mm.
Trace came in and told Roman and stuff. So that was super cool to be there for him. Especially playing with him the past couple years, and it was pretty special. So.
Yeah, it's funny you say that about Marcelo. He comes off just like a cool cat, man. Like it, the feeling that I get with him is that like obviously he loves playing the game, but he's so cool and collected that I almost wonder if he's thinking like, oh man, I wonder what am I gonna eat after the game here today? Yeah, like, is that do you get that impression with him?
Yeah, for sure. Like he's always been like super cool, calm and collected, and it doesn't surprise me he lost his keys either because I used to be his roommate in Greenville and stuff, and he would lose his wallet and stuff all the time. I'm like, bro, you have way too much money to lose your wallet. But I was just like, so like that didn't surprise me and stuff either. But yeah, he's always been like super calm, and I think like playing with him the past couple of years, he's really like matured a lot too, and and seeing that it's been like really special. Like you can just tell now, like he's gonna be a star, like in the show. So it's just really special. Like you can like when I was watching him like play throughout all the levels and stuff, I'm like this guy's gonna be really good. He has the chance to be a star. But now like actually like seeing it happen and see like how he matured and stuff, I'm like yeah, this guy he's gonna be super special, and I really believe that. So.
Yeah, man, it's an exciting time. Not even just with those guys, but yourself. I mean, there's so many guys, coming up here. Stinson, Mikey Romero. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. But I got to ask you, man, we got something coming up here soon. We got the All-Star break coming up soon. And we got the Home Run Derby as well. I got to ask you, man, obviously the dream is to get to the major leagues and, become a Major League Baseball player. But is it also a dream of yours to be in the Home Run Derby one day?
100%. Yeah, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, because we were talking about the All Star break and everything, and I think doing it while I was in high school, like when I was in Cleveland and doing it, that was like pretty special. Watching Pete Alonso and stuff, like actually like doing stuff and hitting in front of all those fans was like super cool and everything. So it was one of those things I was like, this would be super cool to actually do it like as a major leaguer. But obviously you got a long way to go. I got to make it there first, and I got to hit a lot of homers in the show to get there. So but yeah, it's definitely like a dream of mine, and I've always talked about it ever since I was a little kid to do it too. So.
Well, I'd love to see it, and hopefully that comes sooner rather than later. But I got to ask you for this year, do you have a? I mean, I'm going to ask you top of your head, but if you could see like a dream final for this year's Home Run Derby, one guy from the American League, one guy from the National League, what do you think would be the most box office Home Run Derby final?
I think the generic answer is going to be Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. I feel like that's probably the super generic answer,
Let's
but
go with that one. But give me one
yeah,
that you personally
yeah,
would love to see.
yeah, that I would personally love to see. Man, that's guy from the American League. I don't think he's been in the show for long enough, like to be able to do it. But I would love to see Jack Caglione hit in the home run
Oh
derby,
yeah, he just
just
hit a
because.
homer the other day that was like up above his head.
Yeah, and so like I feel like watching him would be super cool. Him or Vladdy. I like watching Vladdy play too.
Yeah.
And so those two from the American League. And the National League, I would have to go with that's tough too. Uh it's gonna be sad to say, but Devers. But we're seeing Rafi
Hey,
do it
I'm all
now.
about it.
I'll, yeah, because I loved like in spring training and stuff. I loved watching him take VP and everything. I've always just loved his swing, like and everything. So like every chance that I got in spring training, like if he was sitting in the cage beside me, like I would just sit there and like watch too, because I just loved the way he swung the bat. So watching him would be super cool too. So.
Well, I got to ask you your opinion. You're obviously, a pro over here at Home Run Derbies. I would personally love to see Cal Schwarber, Cal Raleigh. I feel like that would
Oh
be
yeah,
pretty good, right? I
for
mean,
sure.
but speaking of Rafi, I can't let you go until I get a reaction here of that whole thing. I mean, I believe you guys had either just gotten done with a game. I know you guys played that on that
Yeah.
Sunday, but what was the reaction in that clubhouse with everyone? I mean, you got to walk me through that.
So we actually just got on the bus, and not everybody was on there because some people would drive like the 4 hours and stuff. But
Mhm.
I remember Alex Hoppy was sitting behind me, and I like saw it on Twitter. I think this guy's like, I think this guy got hacked. But I was like, but he posted like stuff like before that like actually happened, and I
Yeah.
was like, what? I was like, this guy's like kind of reliable. I forgot what his name
Yeah,
was.
Robert Murray.
Yeah, and then I refreshed my page, and I was like, oh my, it actually happened. It was just like such a shock. It was a shock to me, but it was one of those deals like, I mean, obviously, like I'm not, I've never like been around like the whole team and everything, so like, it was just a shock to me to see that and everything. But I think it was a shock for a lot of people. But I've always loved being around Rafi. It was just like when I was like in the major league games and stuff, like he would always like welcome like the minor leaguers and stuff
That's
and
cool.
everything. So yeah, it was pretty cool because obviously like he was one of the guys that like I kind of looked up to and stuff. But it was one of those things that. But I still think we have a really like special team up there and stuff, and I think we could go to the playoffs and make a run for it and everything. So I think. Like it's not like our jobs to like, judge or make the decisions or
Right.
anything, but it's just one of those things. Like I still think we got a really good team, but it was definitely a shock for sure. Like, especially just when it happened after the game and everything, like just saw it, I was like, it almost looked fake at first, but it's one of
Yeah.
those things. I guess it was almost like the, Luka trade, it just didn't seem real at
Yeah.
first, but it happened. So,
No, it was crazy for me because I was working on something else and I hear my phone. I try not to have my phone near me when I'm working on stuff, and it's buzzing like crazy. I'm like, what is happening here? And I look on Twitter on my computer. Uh, I've been a Sox fan now my whole life, and like that, I still can't believe it. I'm
yeah.
still processing, and now they're playing Rafi tonight.
Mhm.
That's interesting, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, man. But my friend, I want to say thank you so much for coming on today. Yeah, for me personally, since I've started YouTube, you doing the video on you that I did back in 2020, that was kind of one of my first big videos. So I want to say thank you for hitting a whole bunch of dingers and helping me out. So that's
Oh, I appreciate the video you made. Yeah, I watched this stuff. It was super cool and everything. So I really appreciate that too. So
I mean, it's kind of weird looking back. I was pretty I'm still am fluffy, but I was more fluffy at that time. So I'm like, oh, who the heck is this? What is this guy looking like? But yeah, man, big shout out to you, my friend. I want to say thank you again for that. And thank you for coming on today, man. And good luck to you for the rest of the season. Hope to see you up in Boston really soon, man. You're playing great, and I think it's going to be sooner rather than later before you come up. So.
yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Alrighty. Well, everybody, thank you for watching here today. If you can, hit the like button on the way out, subscribe if you're new, and we'll talk to you next time.